Dick Grayson, the first and most important Robin. Eventually, though, he outgrew the green shorts and the role of sidekick. Struggling and directionless Superman motivates Dick with stories of a Kryptonian hero called Nightwing. Inspired by both of his heroic mentors, he decides to take on that mantle for himself. Today I'm taking a look at two different first appearance Nightwings by McFarlane Toys. One is part of Batman 66, with the newest being in the McFarlane Digital series. Which Disco Dick is better? Holy terrible song references! It's time for another Nightwing Versus. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation on the Road. This week I'm house and pet sitting for some friends who are 4 hours from home, but the show must go on, so I've set up this portable review station, that way I can continue to work while I'm away. I also have my friend's dog Elvis here to keep me company. Starting with the packaging, and we have two very different styles. 66 is in a blister card, and hey, this one also comes complete with a ladybug. Digital comes in a window box, and while 66 has the iconic Adam West emblem, Digital has the new Teen Titans logo, making me really hope we get more figures from that era. Of course, a window box means a spine with names and logos. As for the artwork on the back, I couldn't find where this piece came from. I could find the artwork online, just not the original source. 66 is very colorful, featuring artwork from the comic and the digital render of the figure. The benefit of a window box is that it's collector friendly and reusable, though I have to say 66 is more colorful and fun, but this one is colorful and functional, so for packaging, this round goes to Digital. Moving on to presentation, and it's time for Disco Nightwing to cut loose. First things first, and let's measure our dicks. Ah! Must be my guilty conscience. 66 stands at 6 inches on the dot, with Digital standing at 7 1/4. Similar to the Nightfall version, this one was built off of the Blue Beetle body. If you saw my Nightfall video, you'd know I had some issues, but I do think that this figure is an improvement. For example, the Nightfall figure lazily painted new boot tops over the sculpted ones. The new figure actually updated the sculpt. Not only that, but they gave him new sculpted cuffs, and updated the torso with that popped collar. At first I thought it might have come from Max Mercury, but that's not the case. My biggest frustration with the Nightfall version was the painted logo, and while the new one is also merely painted, I do think it's better. I was particularly annoyed by the sloppy black outline on Nightfall. Here, instead of painting an outline, they merely painted the yellow sections, similar to what they did with the Superpowers version, but that nice thick yellow paint does kind of give the illusion of dimensionality. It's not as good as if it was sculpted, and if they were going to go to the trouble of resculpting the torso anyway, I don't really understand why they didn't do it, but it does look better. Near as I can tell, 66 is an entirely new sculpt. Here we can see just how much better this looks. Obviously the designs are a little bit different. For those who might be confused, by the way, Burt Ward never wore this on the TV show. It was taken from the Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77 comic. Seeing as how it takes place 10 years after the TV show, he's simply grown into the Nightwing role. As someone who's always felt this costume was a bit busy, this is a lot more streamlined and a nice compromise. Things like making the costume more like a cool jacket just make sense. Same thing with the inclusion of the bell bottoms. I can't exactly say this face sculpt looks like Burt Ward, but it's well done. The painted on chest hair is a nice touch. That said, this face sculpt is very comics accurate, unfortunately, and one major issue that carries over from Nightfall is the lack of detail on the rotator cuffs. Additionally, and I still feel that the bodysuit is a bit too bright. Once again, and just like Nightfall, it really should be closer to this. Still, I can't deny that because of the color schemes, these two figures do look like they belong together. An evolution of the same character. Throw in the Better Than Batman version and it makes for a really nice progression. So far, the only version of Dick Grayson as Robin that McFarlane's given us is this one. Yes, there is the Earth 2 version, but technically that one is from a different universe. What we really need is that normal young adult Titans era Robin. For now, I'm using this. It's not actually an action figure, even if it is sculpted to look like one. It's an Art FX statue by Kotobukiya based on the Superpowers collection. The best part is that it's 1/10 scale. As such, it scales perfectly with the rest and is my stand-in until McFarlane gives us one, or worst case scenario, if they don't. With all that said though, I've got to come back to 66. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy that the digital version got a little bit of extra love, but so much more care and sculpting went into this one, proving that when it comes to dicks, bigger isn't always better. For presentation, this round goes to 66. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and this might be the biggest difference between the two. Digital has the hyper-articulation we expect from DC Multiverse, while 66 is intentionally limited to give a more retro feel. He does seem to have a ball joint in the neck, but doesn't get much in the way of up and down. Mostly you just get side to side. Digital, of course, has a dumbbell joint. He can look up this high. For comparison, here's looking ahead, and then here's how far down he can look. Dick also has a pretty decent tilt, and all the way around. Moving down, and Digital can raise his arms a bit higher, plus he has rotator cuffs, whereas 66 merely gets rotation. Digital has bicep swivel and double jointed elbow. No bicep on 66, plus he only gets single jointed swivel. 66 also only gets wrist swivel, whereas Digital has wrist balls that can swivel and hinge either up and down or side to side. Moving to the middle, and Digital has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. Those joints allow him to arch back this far. By contrast, and here standing straight, alas though, nothing really in the way of hunching forward. He does, however, get side to side tilt, and of course twist. 66 merely has a waist cut underneath his jacket, allowing for a bit of side to side. He also has T-style swivel hips. Those allow him to kick only this high. Oddly enough, he can kick much further backwards, but no twist or split. Digital, however, has these standard McFarlane hips. He can kick this high, not quite as far back, but he does get a great split, along with a serviceable amount of twist in the hip. Traveling down the leg, and 66 has single jointed swivel knees and nothing else, while Digital has double jointed knees with a nice deep bend, toe articulation, and ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and like Dick Grayson trading in the mantle of Robin for Nightwing, pivot. I get that the articulation on the retro line is limited on purpose, but that doesn't make it good. For Poseability, this round most definitely goes to Digital. Moving on to Playability, and in terms of accessories, neither one of these figures are winning any contests. In the tradition of the retro line, 66 comes with a couple of clip-on onomatopoeias. I'm not sure if they were newly made for this figure, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen a Vronk before. They clip on to Dick's wrists like so. If you like them though, the cool thing is you can use them with other DC lines, including larger figures like DC Multiverse. Comparatively, the only accessory that Digital comes with is this wingding. Wingding being the term for Nightwing's batarangs. There is a tiny hole in it which suggests that maybe they were considering giving it a string to use as a bat rope. Of course, if you have a string, you could always do that yourself. But beyond that, Digital doesn't come with any character-specific accessories. Compare that to Nightfall, which despite its many issues, did at least come with a variety of different hands. If you were hoping to mix and match, unfortunately the blues don't match. Under studio lights and on camera it's hard to tell, but in normal light it's pretty obvious. What he does have is a trading card and a figure stand. These stands are very colorful, and if you want to read what the card says, pause here. Being that this is part of the Digital line though, he does come with an extra card. It has a scratch-off code to redeem a digital version of this figure that you can display in an online showroom. I'm old and like my toys physical, so it doesn't do anything for me. If you're into it, more power to you. But Playability is more than just onomatopoeias, wingdings, and NFTs. It's also about how well your figures play with others. For 66, I'm going to keep things simple and just bring out Batman and Robin. As you can see, they all fit together very nicely. That said, if you wanted to slip this dick into DC Universe Classics, here's what that would look like. Dipping over to Digital though, and I've already shown you this lineup. For another important member of the Bat family though, and here's Batgirl. This one's a combination of 3 Jokers and the Batman family 5-pack. Pretty much much just tiding me over till this one comes out. This brings us to Batman himself and the Nightfall version. The blues and yellows work pretty well between these two, but if you prefer your Dark Knight a bit darker, here's the San Diego Comic-Con version. This is the dark blue I think would have been perfect for Nightwing. For something bigger though, and here's the single-carded Platinum Spawn Batman. That said, for the one I think is your best match, and here we have Batman Year 2. And just because I know some of you were curious, here's how that Batman looks with the Artifact Superpowers Robin. For just a few classic villains though, and here's the digital Silver Age Joker, the Collector Edition Penguin. I doubt that we're ever gonna get a Silver or Bronze Age version, but here's Nightfall Catwoman, classic Riddler, which was also built off the Blue Beetle body, and the Silver Age style digital Two-Face. Of course, the most important comparisons for this Nightwing would be the Teen Titans, but in the absence of classic versions, here we have modern Beast Boy, the Wallace West version of Kid Flash, the Beast Boy Build-A-Way version of Raven, Starfire, who's in need of a figure stand, and the DC Rebirth version of Cyborg. Lastly, and here's Nightwing with the heroic mentor who helped to inspire his moniker, Superman. For a relative scale comparison, here are both our Nightwings with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here they are with Stealth Iron Man. You know at some point you're gonna go home and actually see your dad, right? In terms of play value, neither one of these really stands out. 66 doesn't really work outside of that specific collection. Digital has more display options, but unless we get more classic Teen Titans, even that's kind of limited. Even though I might not be into it, I do think that in this case, that digital token does make a difference. So for playability, this round goes to digital. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. To be honest, these two lines are so different it's kind of hard to compare, but it's worth noting that 66 is only $20 for a completely new sculpt, while digital is $28 for mostly a repaint. Obviously, there's some new tooling, and that does need to be taken into consideration. That said, I did get 66 on Amazon for only $15, which is $5 less than retail, so overall I am happier with this purchase. For price, this round goes to 66, but the battle goes to digital 3-2. Agree? Disagree? Sound off in the comments and let me know where this costume ranks for you. And for more Nightwing videos, check out one of these. Until next time, play nice and have fun. Here you can see the very sophisticated tripod I put together from what I found around the house. Nothing but the best for my channel.